Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. And I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is ready for this podcast to be as wild as the Monday Night Football game. Kyle, how are you doing?
I don't think that's possible, but I'm doing very good. How are you doing, sir?
Yes, doing well as well. Kyle, we're just getting right back into it. I mean, we're in the thick of things here. We're just chugging along here. Football season it's all the way back here.
Yeah, it's just it's good to be back into the rhythm. We're back to our Wednesday shows, so now we got something to plan for in midweek. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're doing it twice a week. It's a lot of fun. And the way we do this is we're going to start off recapping the Monday night game. Then we will get into our predictions for the week 2 preview. I feel like there's probably a lot of happy Raiders fans here. Just an absolute crazy game. Kyle, first question, the most important one. Did you watch the Manning cast or did you watch the regular cast?
Yeah, there is no question I was going to watch the Manning cast in this one. I thought it was actually pretty good. I thought it was insightful. I felt like I understood a lot of what they were saying and the way they were breaking down coverages and where the throw should have been, different things that they were talking about. I thought was really interesting. They just need to know when to go to commercial break. That's the only thing. They can never figure that out. Hopefully by like week 6, they'll have it figured out. But yeah, I thought the Manning cast was excellent.
Yeah, I thought it was very fun as well. There was there's a little bit of like, I don't know why we needed like Charles Barkley there. I like Charles Barkley. I don't know if that was completely necessary, but fun as a whole.
Oh, and another one, I couldn't hear Ray Lewis at all. Like the entire Ray Lewis conversation, it's like I heard half of what he said.
I think I watched with headphones on, so I didn't have that big of an issue with it. Also, I think there's a pretty big echo in my room, so sorry about that, but we're dealing with what we have. Might have to figure out a way to fix that. But
as long as the alarm doesn't go off.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but okay, enough about the cast itself. This was a very fun game, Kyle, and I thought both quarterbacks at times looked great, and I think at times had made their mistakes. And at the end of the day, it was the Raiders. Really, it was Lamar who ended up making the big mistake there in overtime. I think that's kind of the biggest story is Lamar Jackson. I thought he did a lot of really good stuff, but you just can't make those 2 fumbles there late in the game that kind of were the difference in this one.
Yeah, 2 fumbles. I believe both were in his own territory too, right? So set up Raiders scoring drives. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just felt like, do you feel like with all the stuff going on with the Ravens and their injuries, is that just going to become the theme for the season that Lamar is basically going to have to go Superman? And if he makes a mistake, then the Ravens lose. If he doesn't make mistakes, the Ravens win. Like, I know their defense is still good enough to win a lot of games too, but it just seems like offensively, especially with the receivers they have, man, it just seems like he has to improvise a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's exactly right. Is that this team is so Lamar Jackson reliant. This is maybe one of the worst teams in football without Lamar. Just given the injuries, healthy maybe not, but I think that the cornerback injury, that's tough because you really need that second corner. I thought that they still covered well in this one, but it's still. I mean, you're losing Marcus Peters, he's a big. Their defense is built around their secondary, so losing a key piece of that hurts them a lot. Also, their tackle play. I mean, you look at Alejandro Villanueva had a Pro Football Focus passing grade of 13.4. Ronnie Staley, 27.7. That's ugly right there. That's horrible. And right off the bat, the edge rush, that did not help. Guys aren't getting open. I don't know how many quarterbacks score more than 27 points. Other than Lamar in this situation. And he basically, the kind of what I said in my video about this was Lamar was basically asked to carry an entire team, and he did an imperfect job at it.
Yeah. And, it could have been worse. He could have had Jalen Mayfield, but overall, yeah, it was a bad, it was a bad situation for the Ravens. Let's stop burying the lead here because everyone in the chat's talking about it. Let's go to the other side. What a second half that was. Oh, man. That offense, when it started clicking in the second half, was so fun to watch. The first half was really sloppy. I don't think even the most optimistic Raiders fan could have said that was a good first half from the Raiders. They looked sloppy. It just seemed like, okay, I get Darren Waller's really good, but is this really their play every time? And it's just like they kept doing things and it kept not, they kept missing a few throws. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we know they're going to blitz every time. Let's settle down. And all of a sudden, all the throws were there. Carr delivered some excellent footballs. And, Yeah, I mean, everybody started to step up. Waller obviously made some plays. Josh Jacobs had the touchdown run. Brian Edwards on that fourth quarter, that last drive, just incredible stuff. Even Henry Ruggs had a big catch. I mean, everything on the Raiders' first half was just, or second half was fantastic stuff. And even the defense stepped up. I thought Max Crosby was a menace. I thought the secondary at least looked a little more poised this season. Like, that's the one thing. I guess you go first, and I'll talk a little more about that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start with the offense, then we'll go to the defense. Right. People in the chat were kind of saying, "Why is it the Raiders bad? Why not? Or why is it Ravens bad? Why not Raiders good?" I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that first. The Raiders were good in this one. The Raiders were absolutely good in this one. I thought that Derek Carr, again, like you said, sort of he had some issues early on, but once things got going, and once Darren Waller remembered he can catch a football, I thought that this team started really hitting their stride. And yeah, Brian Edwards, that catch that we thought it was going to be the game winner and then wasn't. I mean, Derek Carr is technically the NFL's leading the NFL passing leader right now with 435 yards. Granted, threw the ball 56 times, but still, again, Carr is that guy. And, one of the weird things about him is some guys seemingly play better quarters 1 through 3. Some guys seemingly play at their best in quarter 4. He is one of those guys that he plays his best when the game is on the line.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I think the Raiders have to take away is we got this win against a team that a lot of people thought was better than us, and we made a bunch of mistakes too. And you have to take that too. The mistakes in the first half, the hard count at the half-yard line, like you were trying to get closer to the goal line. And then the interception, obviously, which was the worst luck interception for Carr I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, you still get the ball back because your defense makes a great play, gets the turnover, and gets the win. And so I'll transition to the defense here. And I think the one thing I was impressed with is that I think one issue we had with the Raiders last year in their defense is it just didn't seem like there was a plan. Like it just seemed like guys were running around with chickens with their heads cut off and hoping to find a ball on the way. There was at least a plan here. Everything seemed a little more organized, and it started with that defensive line. And I thought the secondary did a pretty good job too.
Can I say maybe a take that Raiders fans won't love? I think there might be a reason why the secondary looked better, and it's the fact that Damon Arnett played one snap in this one. I think that might have played a pretty big factor. I thought Nate Hobbs came in. He ended up being sort of that third corner, and I think that's probably for the best, I would say. I think that Arnett might be out of a job, perhaps. And again, I haven't seen the preseason. I don't know, or I haven't seen the training camp is what I mean to say. I don't know how much that is, but the good thing is, this is the weird thing about the Raiders. They don't draft particularly well in the first round. Alex Leatherwood didn't have a great day, but they seemingly get these first round talents into sixth round or the fourth. Crosby was a fourth rounder. Now Nate Hobbs comes in, plays well as a sixth rounder. So it's kind of like they're still getting the talent just in sort of a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, they managed to figure it out. And I mean, you're probably right on that. Arnett's probably not the answer there. I thought Mullen had a pretty good game too. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was just a good game overall for the Raiders. They figured things out in the second half, adjusted, and got the win.
Yeah, I still want to see. Last thought is I still want to see kind of how will this defense play against a not a Ravens roster. I want to see them against maybe some more talented wide receivers and things of that nature. But yeah, again, this is I think headliner has to be Derek Carr of this one, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was fantastic. And also the West divisions are 8-0.
Yeah, wild. West Coast, the best coast, apparently. All right. Well, no one's going to call us the best at anything after our predictions week 1, Kyle. 18 total points we could get. We ended up getting 11 of them, and you don't want points. So this was both our locks of the weeks went wrong. Our final record in this one was 7-9. This is a rough week for us, Kyle.
It was a rough week, but it was a fantastic week of football, so I'm okay with it. There was, like you were talking about pre-show, we had 9 upsets during Sunday, and so not much you can do about that. But from the Cowboys Buccaneers on Thursday night all the way through Ravens Raiders at the very end at the last play of the game, the only thing that made me not want to watch football was the Chicago Bears. So everything else was fantastic, I thought. And I was really looking forward. I'm looking forward to week 2. I'm looking for some more looking forward.
And even I gave the Bears, I was going to say, even I gave the Bears, a raving review by saying that they were surprisingly watchable.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pull my hair out when the game was on.
That's fair. Yeah. Give him a
All
little
right.
bit of credit, I guess.
Yes, the smallest amount. All right. So I am losing. Rare spot for me, Kyle. I'm not used to be losing. I led pretty much all the way last year. Starting off, you're on a hot streak. You got half of your games right. So I'm gonna give you a game, and let's just. And this is, by the way, so how this works is we take turns giving each other games to pick. So I give Kyle a game. He has to pick who he thinks is going to win. Gets it wrong, you get a point to your total. You don't want points. It's like golf. We also have a lock of the week. You get it right, 2 points comes off your total. Get it wrong, 2 points goes on your total. And Kyle, we talked about the Raiders already. Let's just stick with this one. It's not the closest spread, but I think it's a close game. I think this is closer than the spread would indicate at 5.5 points. I'm going to give you Raiders at Steelers here.
Yeah, this was my first game too. Actually, I thought I thought there was a gross overreaction to the Steelers. I still think the Steelers are a good football team, and I think they're probably going to win this game. But at the same time, like Pro Football Focus had Big Ben as the worst rated quarterback in Week 1.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was with like Aaron Rodgers and his performance, and all the performances of Week 1. They labeled Big Ben's as the worst. I thought there were some real problems with the Steelers' offense in this game, despite pulling off the win. They got a couple good drives there. Najee Harris had like 1 yard of carry through the first half. It remains to be seen how that line's going to be able to block for him. I think there's some issues there, but I do think they do enough here to get the win because I thought the Raiders' offensive line struggled a little bit in Week 1. Like you said, Leatherwood's going to have a real test here going against this Pittsburgh front. And I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers actually covered pretty well. So I just saying all the praises to the Raiders. I'm sorry, Raiders fans, but I think this is going to be a really close, low-scoring game. I see this as like a 17-13 kind of win for the Steelers.
Interesting. So I think the nice thing that the Raiders have in this one is they do have at least one good tackle on Colton Miller. Now, the other 4 guys, we won't talk about them, but you got Colton Miller. And so kind of the way you can protect the edge is you kind of can just chip off one side. You help out Leatherwood in that regard and just, hope Miller can hold his own. And again, then Pittsburgh can put TJ Watt there and get one-on-one matchups there. But I still think that there's ways the Raiders can put up points. And again, do I think Big Ben is going to be the worst quarterback in football this season? No, I don't. I think he'll play better. But I still don't know how sold I am on the Steelers offense. And I could see the Raiders, they're just such a wild card with the new defense. I kind of said last year, I don't hate the talent. I hate the I hate the coach. And I think it's poor coach more than bad talent. And so far, they've looked good through one game. But how well will that go? There's just a lot of wild cards on both of the sides too, because again, Pittsburgh's defense played really well Week 1, better than I expected. Will that continue as well? So there's just so much variance here, which is why I just didn't want to pick this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting because, like you said, you want to see this coverage unit for the Raiders against a good wide receiver core, and I think this is a pretty good wide receiver group. I've same praises of Deontay Johnson on this podcast. I think he's a great route runner. When he catches the football, I think he's a very good receiver. Chase Claypool, I think, is good. I think that they have some options here to go to. I guess let's go to the other side, though. Are you buying this Steelers coverage unit that we thought might be the weakness of this defense that played really well against the Bills?
Well, I think part of it, too, is, going back and watching that game, there were some plays that Allen missed, or the Bills in general missed, that could have been like if they get a couple of those deep shots, it goes from a Steelers win to almost a blowout Buffalo Bills win. So I don't know if you can count on that week to week. I think there are some issues here, but I would probably say listen, they when it comes to zone defenses, a lot of that tends to be more coaching and more football IQ than just pure talent. So I think it could translate week to week, but it's a real test against the John Gruden offense that loves to go up against those zone style defenses a lot of times. So I would probably say advantage Las Vegas here, just because I do have faith in John Gruden as a play caller. Again, I know people like to bring up the other stuff, but as a play caller, he is very good. So I would probably say, I would say yes, but this might not be the best. I'll say I'd buy it, but not buying a lot of it, I guess.
Yeah. I do think if I'm betting this, I'm betting Raiders plus 5.5 at this line, because I think if the Steelers win, I think they win ugly. And I think if the Raiders win, it's because they're able to throw the ball on this team. And I think that's kind of how it's going to be determined.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. One more point. This is a good Raider Wolf. Cleveland Ferrell is about to emerge from the ashes. What did you think about Cleveland Ferrell being a healthy scratch in this one, number 4 overall pick in the Monday night game.
It was a little surprising, especially because, as you talked about in the offseason, I think he was better than people thought he was last season, especially in his run defense and the different things he could do. And yeah, I mean, I know they got Ngakoue, I know they got Max Crosby, but it seemed like you want to have a nice rotation of guys. It was a little surprising to see him not play.
Yeah, maybe it's Carl Nassib. I was wondering if maybe they want some just faster guys on the edge with Lamar. I don't know. And actually, I should have checked that out. Maybe there's been an explanation for that. But regardless, let's move on now, Kyle. Why don't you give me a game?
All right, I'm going to go to this one because I still don't really have a gauge on either of these two teams, even though I just made fun of one.
Real quick, apparently there was an injury with him, so maybe that seems like that might, according to the chat, there was an injury there. So don't want to spread misinformation. That must have been it. Thank you for the chat. You go ahead, Kyle.
All right. Well, thanks for the information. Like I said, I think there could be a slight surprise 2-0 team this week, and I think it might be this team. I want to see your thoughts. Bengals at Bears.
Bengals at Bears. Yeah. To me, I feel okay about one of these teams. I do not feel okay about the other. Kyle, I am locking it up. Give me the underdog in this one. I'm going to Cincinnati Bengals, an underdog lock of the week here. I feel good about Cincinnati. Well, okay. The Bears are horrible. Why are the Bears favorites in this one? I guess they're at home, so the 3 points, it's really they're even, I guess, is what the Vegas would say. Just so you guys know how the lock of the week works, you usually have to cover the spread, but if you bet on an underdog, they just have to win. I think Cincinnati's pretty good. Like Joe Burrow, he clearly is a really good, really young quarterback. Like that's how I see when I watch him. He still makes some mistakes here and there. Like he did have like just a throw that was an interception and somehow it bounced off a defender and went straight to a Cincinnati player for a catch. Like he had a couple of those, but he still just makes these incredible plays. And I think that with a bad secondary that the Bears have, I just think they're going to score a ton of points in this one. And I don't know if Andy Dalton can keep up. And the Bengals defense looked really good last week. How well would that translate? I don't know. But for 1 week, it's looked good. I think that this is, I feel more confident in Cincinnati than Chicago here. Yeah,
I'm with you on this one. I think the Bengals are going to win this. I think it's going to be interesting because it's, the Bears have a definitive front advantage based on the defensive line versus the Bengals offensive line. But Cincinnati has a definitive advantage at quarterback and wide receiver compared to secondary. So is there going to be enough coverage for these guys in the front four to get to Joe Burrow? I think that's the biggest question. But I do believe that the Cincinnati team can be kind of frisky. I don't want to overreact too much to week one, but I liked a lot of what I saw. And I think this team might be a little better than we actually thought. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if this turns into maybe like a surprise 7-win team, 8-win team.
Yeah, and Burrow is great at evading pressure too. Now, he'll get himself in trouble with that sometimes, as we, again, see a lot of those kind of guys. But he can get himself out of trouble as well, even if there is some pressure. So part of me wonders, how do the Bears win this one? Like, what is the Bears' game plan here? I just don't really know. I don't know I don't love this offense. And I also, I heard it described, the Matt Nagy offense, which I think is a really good way to describe it, is it's like there's like 87 ways to get 6 yards in this offense. It's like it's all about these 6-yard plays. Like that's just not how you win in today's NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there's no downfield presence for this team. It's David Montgomery. They have Allen Robinson, but they don't really run him downfield. They don't do a whole lot with him except for, hey, find space in the zone and get open. That's kind of his thing right now. I mean, the Bears, to win this, it really has to be the stars have to dominate, right? Like Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks have to dominate this game and have a significant impact. I don't really see a situation where they're able to just, play the Bengals straight up and make plays in the secondary, like you were saying.
Yeah, I don't really either, unless they have some sort of good game plan. I don't know. I think trying to get pressure with 4, that only works if you can cover, and they can't cover. At least they haven't. They really, they don't have great talent there, and they didn't do a great job of it on their week 1 matchups. So any final thoughts on Bengals Bears?
No, we can go ahead and move on.
Yeah. All right. I guess one thing, start Justin Fields. Again, I still stand by, if you're going to, why would you start Justin Fields now? You should have started him week 1 if you want to start him now.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Dalton's going to be the guy. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know when that's going to actually change. I don't know, man. I can't get into the inner workings of Matt Nagy's mind.
Yeah,
That's a
who are we to
scary
question
place.
such genius? Yeah, over unders. First, we'll say here's the way to phrase it. Does it take until the second quarter for the Bears to get booed?
Uh, no, like the first time Andy Dalton goes 3 and out, they're going to get booed.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll keep an eye out for that. Will they get booed the first quarter, or will it take till the second quarter for them to get booed? All right. I'm going to give you a game. It's another game I just don't really want to pick. I'm going Titans Seahawks. I think on one hand, Seahawks looked really good week one, and they tend to start off hot. The other hand, the Titans looked so bad that I almost feel like it's like scary to pick this game because of the fact that, of how brutal they look. This is a team that typically, Seahawks like to run a lot of zone. Titans have historically had success against those teams, but again, with how bad they played week one, who knows? I don't want to pick it. I'm going to make you pick it.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of leading Seahawks here. I think I'm just going to pick the Seahawks. I think that both of these receiving groups are going to kind of dominate this game. I could see both teams putting up some points in this one. That's not really breaking news, but yeah, I mean, I thought Seahawks coverage at time looked pretty good last week, and I think that this Titans receiving core is going to expose them a little bit because it's significantly better than the Colts. That's as simple as it is. I don't think the Titans offensive line, Tyler Warren was bad last week, but I don't think it was as bad as people thought it was. It was just, Chandler Jones kept, blowing up every play. So I think that they'll be a little better, even though Seattle's pass rush looked pretty good in week one. I don't think it's the same as what Arizona was able to do. So I think it's a little closer than that. I think both teams score, but I am going to go with the Seahawks still in a shootout.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the offensive line, part of the issue is, Titans go down big early on. So now they're pass blocking every play, and they're trying to get these long developing plays. They're trying to get these chunk plays. And so, that's going to lead to more sacks. And, Tannehill did get sacked 6 times in that game. But again, part of it is they got embarrassed. And I just feel like I'm always pro betting on a team who's just coming off an embarrassing loss. I can't imagine that like Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, like Ryan Tannehill all just happened to suck like at the same time. I think that this was kind of just one of those games. You throw it out. But again, now they got Seattle, and Seattle's really good, especially early on in the season. So I'd probably go Seattle as well. But I can see a scenario where the Titans do, like you said, kind of win a shootout here.
Yeah, I mean, I can see either of these teams winning. I still think the Titans are going to win the division. I mean, and they're fortunate enough that everybody else lost, so they're not down a game.
You like them better than Houston?
Yeah, surprisingly. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be all right. So, so I think that they're going to be able to win, 9-10 games. I just don't know if it starts this week.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move on. You give me a game now.
All right. 2 teams I thought looked pretty decent last week. One in a win, one in a loss. Let's go Cowboys at Chargers.
All right. So yes, no one tell us that we did not talk about the Chargers this week. We're talking about them here. Yeah, this is an interesting one. This is definitely it's weird because the Chargers, I feel like the Brandon Staley effect seemingly has come into play already. Like their defense has already looked vastly improved. I think I don't know. How about this for a hot take? I haven't given my pick yet, but let me just say this. Do we know that the Cowboys have the best quarterback in this one?
We don't. I mean, both were pretty good in week one outside of 2 red zone turnovers. I thought Herbert was pretty good in that game. And yeah, I mean, I thought as good as Dak was, I mean, I think that's still kind of a toss-up, especially if Herbert's made to sleep.
Yeah, I think I'd still probably lean Dak just because I've seen it for longer. But I think I'm going to go to Chargers in this game. I think the Brandon Staley effect is real. I think that maybe one issue that I could see myself looking back on the season saying, you know what, I didn't pay enough attention to this would be coaching. I think that I'm mostly focused on the talent, but coaching is a real thing, especially when it's a defense kind of like the way the Chargers is built, which I like. I think that they could potentially hold the Cowboys, in their receiving core a little bit. You can only do so much against them, but I could see this being, a game where the Cowboys aren't able to score 40, and then the Chargers maybe will be able to score 40 just given the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, and you know what? There are some talented players in that Chargers team too on the defense side of the ball. There is some talent there, so I think it's interesting. Um, I thought this was kind of interesting. So I was thinking about this. If the Cowboys run Ezekiel Elliott less than 18 times in this game, I feel like they can win it. If they run him more, then I'm not giving him a chance to win. I don't know why this team waits until they start losing games to start doing their best thing on offense, which is throw the ball to these ultra skilled receivers all the time. Like, what? I mean, I don't want to go full Bills on this team necessarily, but you have a top 10 quarterback and probably the number one wide receiver group in the NFL. Why are you worried about establishing the ground game so much sometimes? Just hurl the ball around, just fling it around the yard and dominate with the air game because that's your best attribute. I don't know why they worry so much about trying to establish ground game sometime. I just think that they need to lean fully into what this team is, which is throwing the football.
I mean, you're speaking my language with the, throw the ball as much as possible. But I would also say it's like the Chargers, if they want to play two safety deep coverages, which, Brandon Staley has done a good amount over the course of his career, well, then you do kind of want to try to run them out of that coverage, which might be a good thing for the Chargers to do. I could see them doing that. But again, it's like you have Derwin James. You kind of want to use him all over the place as well. So it should be an interesting one. I do think that but I feel comfortable picking the Chargers here.
Yeah, I think I would too. I think at home too, that definitive home field advantage of Los Angeles where it'll probably be 80% Cowboys fans. So
Right. Should be interesting. We'll move on now. I'll give you a game. I'm going to give you two division rivals of your favorite team. I'm giving you Bills at Dolphins. Dolphins coming off of a win where they didn't look spectacular. Bills coming off of a loss where they didn't look spectacular. Where are you going here?
Man, I was struggling with this game too. I didn't want to pick this.
Well, I gave you it.
I'll give you the Bills. I just think that they bounce back. I think that they're going to play a little better. I thought Allen missed some easy throws in that game against the Steelers, like you were saying. And I still think that they have enough wide receivers to make this happen. I know Luke's going to come at me here in a second, but yeah, I mean, I think the Bills are just going to be able to throw the ball on them and win this game. So I got the Bills.
Yeah, poor Luke Brown, such a big Dolphins fan, and we've just been horrible because, thumping all over the Dolphins all offseason long, still listening to us. We appreciate your support, Luke. I also have the Bills in this game. I just think that, again, what's interesting is the last time these two teams played each other, it was week 17. The Bills had nothing to play for. The Dolphins had everything to play for, trying to get into a playoff spot, and the Bills just smoked them. And how do the Dolphins respond? I thought that Tua looked good when stuff was on script. I think that he had a couple. Tua did not overly impress me. I watched I finally figured out how to get all 22 footage. You have to go to like the Brazil NFL Game Pass to get it to work. But I've got all 22 footage, and I wasn't overly impressed with Tua's performance. I really wasn't. And again, I just think that you're going to have to probably score more than 17 to win this one. They might be able to, but I just don't know how much I trust Tua. And I also think that I like Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills receiving corps to bounce back after a rough week.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that Patriots secondary without Gilmore too is beatable too, and he just didn't make the throws all the time. He made a couple nice throws, but I thought there was more to be had there against like Jalen Mills, Jawan Williams, those kind of guys. And the Bills, I think, have a pretty good secondary, so I think they're going to be able to slow some of those plays down. I don't think they're going to have as many, they had a couple chunk plays in that game. I don't think they're going to have those against Buffalo, so I think it slows Miami down a little bit. And I think the Bills win.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on
it? No, I think we covered that. You want to move on?
Yeah, sure. We'll go to, okay, so now you give me a game.
All right. We'll go Rams Colts in Indianapolis.
Gotcha. So I almost made this my lock of the week. I feel great about picking the Rams here. I don't know why this is the line being -4 for the Rams. Again, I've already used my lock. I don't know. I thought the Colts were as a whole unimpressive in their first week. I thought the Rams were incredibly impressive. I think the Rams like to play defenses like the Colts, and I think that no one likes to play defenses like the Rams. I think this is I'm betting on the Rams here. I think I would take the Rams even like minus like 8 in this scenario. I think the Rams to me are the clear favorites in this game. And it's not necessarily that I think the Colts are horrible, but I just think that we have a championship contending team and a playoff contending team here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I could see the Rams forcing it. Almost said Andy Dalton. That was last week. I could see the Rams forcing Carson Wentz into mistakes here. There was some instances where I thought he held the ball too long and tried to make a hero play. I don't think he's going to get away with that against Los Angeles, who has a much better secondary. So, yeah, I mean, I could see that scenario, but I could also just see the Colts kind of figuring this game out because that's just kind of what the Colts do sometimes. I do think I would pick the Rams here, but I could see the Colts kind of bouncing back and making this a game.
Yeah, I guess one of the interesting things as well is, this to give the Colts some credit and to sort of play devil's advocate with myself of how do the Colts come back to win. I think potentially what you do is Frank Reich does like to pick on more zone defenses, which is what the Rams like to do. So perhaps you can get that going. To me, what it comes down to is like, if the Rams decide to say, you know what, we're going to start playing man, I just don't know how the Colts go at that. I don't know. Do you run the ball? I don't know if I love that matchup. I think the Rams, you got to run it away from Aaron Donald, right? So you're going to have to start throwing, and you're not going to get open in that scenario. I'm not sure if they can get open against zone either, even with Frank Reich. I just don't think they have the tools on the outside on offense to really get too much going here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with this one. I think the Colts are still frisky. I still believe in them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the Rams do look like the better team.
Yeah, although TJ Levy has an interesting strategy. Run it straight at Aaron Donald. It'll work. I think that's a good. How do you feel about TJ Levy being the next head coach to enter the NFL?
It can't be any worse than Urban Meyer's first game. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Do you think that if you coached a game, it would be worse than Urban Meyer's first game?
Yes. I'm not. I don't know anything. What do you
mean? Yeah, probably. You're probably right. I think the real move is just like, hey, defensive and offensive coordinators, you guys got this. I think that's the mindset if you're a head coach.
Have awesome coordinators. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the right thing.
So. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I give you a game. I'll give you the Thursday game. How about Giants at Balls? Now, no Ryan Fitzpatrick. You have Taylor Heineke in this one. But the flip side is the Giants are intentionally playing Daniel Jones in this one. So it's kind of an interesting situation here.
Yeah, that's basically a wash then at that point. I'm still picking the Balls. I think the Balls are a better team. I think that the Balls might have a better quarterback. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're the better team, and I think they're going to win this game pretty easily. I think, they were one Antonio Gibson fumble away from winning that game, and I thought that they should have won it. The Giants aren't good. That's what I learned in week 1 is that the Giants aren't good. I was impressed with the Broncos, but at the same time, if you're giving up 6.4 yards per play to the Broncos, I'm not in on you being anything. I think that the Balls win this one, and they're a better team. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that, I don't love the Balls without Fitzpatrick. I'm not sold on Taylor Heineke. I wasn't overly impressed with him. And I know it sounds crazy because he's had one good game in a playoff game, so he must be a god. But I still want to see more. I still like them to win this game, though. And who knows? Maybe he could have a rough day going up against a good secondary. I mean, both these defenses are good, I think. So this will be a boring game probably if you want to see a lot of offense. But it could be kind of a fun sort of old school style matchup a little bit too, which could be, nice to see every now and then.
Yeah. To answer Scott's question, how do you guys say this with a straight face? It's because we've been saying Balls for almost 2 years now, basically. So,
yeah.
I mean, we've been on this. We've been calling them the Balls forever. So, yeah, I mean, the Broncos had 5.9 yards per run against the Giants in week 1. What is preventing me from thinking Antonio Gibson can just torch this team in week 2?
Yeah, I don't know. You also see, Scott B. Breaking news: Jackson is not impressed with Ron Rivera's balls. Not exactly the way I would phrase that, but you got the general gist. I mean, I think that any team is going to struggle with losing your starting quarterback, even a team that doesn't necessarily have like a superstar quarterback. So I think that's an issue for them. But yeah, I don't know. I think I agree. I could see this Yeah, I can see both of these teams trying to run the ball a decent amount. Again, Saquon Barkley's story of his career is he's the most electric guy to, average under 3 yards per carry every game, it seems like. Not statistically true, but it seems like no one's had more exciting games where they average under 3 yards per carry than Barkley.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see a scenario where the Giants win this one. I don't see a scenario where they win a lot of games, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, I just think Washington's better.
All right. Well, let's stop talking about this game. We don't have to keep talking about the NFC East. You give me a game.
All right. I will go with the NFC South is weird, so I'll just give you this game. Saints at Panthers, -3.5 to the Saints. Does Jameis Winston keep the magic going?
Yeah, I'm so dumb when you said that. I'm like, wow, pretty early for the Falcons Buccaneers. No, okay, that's not where you're going. Would have been excited about that going this early. Yeah, I mean, I have the Saints winning this. I think that the Saints are the better team. I am interested in how does this Panthers defense play, or excuse me, how does this Panthers offense play against a really good defense? I mean, I'm interested in both sides because I think that, Jameis Winston had that weird, Jameis Winston, the NFL's leading touchdown passer at this point with 5 touchdowns. I'm more interested in seeing Sam Darnold against a good defense. How well will he do? This defense just frustrated the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. How is Sam Darnold going to prepare in this? He's going to feel like he's back with the Jets with how few guys are going to get open probably, but not because of lack of talent around him, just because of the talent in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's very well possible. I do think the Saints are still the better team. I think Kamara should be able to get his in this game. I'm excited to watch him against McCaffrey. But yeah, I mean, the quarterbacks are the story of this one. Can they keep it going? Winston, obviously, with the 5 touchdowns. Darnold not making that many mistakes. That was surprising against the Jets. And now it's a much better defense, like you said. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Saints are a better team. I just think the NFC South's weird. And I think Carolina has a good enough defense that this game can be interesting. And then McCaffrey and obviously the DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, that group can make enough plays in this one. So that's probably the question for the Carolina. Can they make enough plays?
Yeah, that's the sort of the flip side is, well, this is going to be a much tougher test for Sam Darnold. This will be a tougher test for, for Jameis Winston as well, going up against, I think, a team. Maybe not necessarily probably a better defense, but also certainly I'm expecting them to play better than the Packers defense did week 1. And again, the question becomes, it should be an interesting chess match between the Panthers, who get very creative on defense, and the Saints, who, they like to have this whole, you have to cover every square foot of the field kind of mentality. It should be interesting to see that, that chess match when the Saints are on offense.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And then, is this Saints receiving core for real too? Yeah, they had some big plays against the Packers. Are they going to be able to do it consistently against this defense?
Yeah, that should be interesting as well. All right, I don't have too much else to add. I feel again, another one I feel good about, even if I can see it going the other way. I feel like it's a game that, like, the Saints are the clear favorites. They might not win, but they're the clear favorites.
Yeah, I think I agree. I see a clear favor basically in the rest of these games, but I do think that one's weird enough to where it can get interesting.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the marquee game of the week. Chiefs Ravens. Kind of a little surprised. Did you say this is your lock of the week?
Yes, it's a lock. The Ravens suck against the Chiefs. That's the simple solution to this.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about this the entire day. It's just like, listen, even yesterday when I was or not yesterday, what is today? Wednesday? Even Monday night, the fourth quarter of that game, the Raiders have to go down and score. The Ravens are basically playing, man-to-man defense on the outside, hoping for their best, and then Bryan Edwards makes a couple plays. They never change. They're never going to change. It doesn't matter who they play. They're never going to change their defensive set. They blitz all the time, and they play man-to-man all the time. When they played the Chiefs last year against the blitz, Patrick Mahomes was 17 for 20 against the blitz for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. How is he not going to destroy this team by himself in this game? You cannot blitz Patrick Mahomes. You can't play man-to-man against Tyreek Hill. There's no solution to where I think the Ravens win this game. I think the Chiefs crush them. I think this is a blowout. I don't think it's close. I think that the lack of talent on the Ravens offensive side is going to hurt them. It's Lamar or bust. I think the Chiefs win this one very easily.
Wow. This is so I'll push back a little bit, obviously, because you are coming on very strong against Baltimore. Why would the Ravens not try to play a little bit of cover 2-man in this one? We saw how well it worked in the Super Bowl. Defensive coordinators aren't stupid, right? They would have to try that, right?
I mean, sure, they'd have to try it, but the difference is they don't have Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh and who are the other guys on
Vita Vea, JPP.
Yeah, they have Odafe Owe, who I think is a nice prospect, but they just don't have the guys to get after Patrick Mahomes, and this offensive line is better than what it was in the Super Bowl too. I just don't think there's enough guys here to contain what the Chiefs have going at them. I just don't think that and I also don't think they're going to change. They don't want to change who they are. That's their identity, is this blitz man scheme that they run. And I just don't think it's going to be enough against the Chiefs. It's never going to happen.
All right. Wow. Never going to happen. Well, again, I'll say this. I've seen Patrick Mahomes get stopped once. There's one time where Patrick Mahomes has been stopped. There is no stopping Mahomes. And so many things had to go that specific way in the Super Bowl for Mahomes to be stopped. But what about the flip side? You still do have Lamar Jackson against a team that, the Chiefs like to play man themselves a good amount. You could see Lamar running all over the top. And maybe, I thought Sammy Watkins did do some nice things. I thought Marquise Brown did do some nice things. It's not enough to be a complete receiving core, but it's enough to get you some splash plays. Could there be an example? Could something like happen where you get the Baltimore Ravens who they're able to put up 35 points in this one, and maybe you get a mistake or two from Mahomes and win this one, 35 to 32.
There's a possibility. I think the big thing is Tyrann Mathieu coming back for the Chiefs. I believe I saw he was practicing already, and they think he's going to be ready to go. And yeah, I mean, I think if Matthew's on the field, I just think that they're going to have a lot less success trying to do, stuff to get Sammy Watkins open downfield and work that sort of situation. So I think that's my only worry for the Ravens offense, is that the Chiefs defense is going to get better just because, guys are coming back. And that's the reason why I think the Chiefs are, they're just going to outscore Baltimore in this one, I think.
Let me go a different pathway now, because we all like to talk about, I think you and I tend to be very measured in our takes and talk about, what can we see? What can we prove? Where's the data? All of that stuff. What about an intangible here? The Ravens are desperate here. They come off a week 1 loss. They can't lose this game. Another Sunday night game against a team that keeps beating them. We should mention the Ravens had the Chiefs dead to rights 2 years ago in the Chiefs Super Bowl year until a 4th and 15 play was converted to Tyreek Hill for a touchdown. So it's not like they can't beat them. Although, again, that's 2 years ago. There's plenty of turnover. I think maybe, is this a desperate Ravens team this one just means more to them? Travis Kelce on the broadcast and the Manning cast didn't even know they were playing the Ravens this week. I mean, clearly this means more for Baltimore than it does for Kansas City.
That's how little they are worried about Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
I just see that as confidence. So, yeah, I mean, there's a possibility of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Ravens are looking at this, though, as we have to win now. And I think that's the one thing, is I just don't think that they do. And then the other part of this, too, is that their secondary is worse without Marcus Peters. It's not as good as it was last year, too. Mm-hmm. And they still torched them last year. So how does that help this team win?
Well, I think, again, that kind of just gives me hope that maybe they'll say, hey, maybe we shouldn't try to, go one-on-one against Tyreek Hill. Maybe we will actually, I don't know, not blitz the hell out of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sort of similar to what we saw with Tampa Bay, right? Todd Bowles loves the blitz. He got burnt by that, learned his lesson, and changed. Will the Ravens do the same? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope they at least keep it competitive, because if this rivalry can become a rivalry, if the Ravens can just get one win, this could be such a fun rivalry, but it just seems like the Chiefs just keep beating the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, I made my point clear on that. I think that the Chiefs
we'll move on.
have their number. We'll see what happens with that. I do hope it's close, because I like good football. But yeah, I mean, I think I just need to see the Ravens change before I believe that they're actually willing to do these different things to win. It just seems like, oh, this is our identity. You have to beat this. And it's just like, okay, Patrick Mahomes is going to beat that every time.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Also, again, one of these Luke Brown saying Jackson just hates the Chiefs. These are my favorite. Those Chiefs, always been a hater of them. It reminds me of, there's a great Chris Collinsworth story of one time, when you do something like this, for those of you who don't know, you're constantly getting comments saying, why do you hate this team? Why do you hate that team? Just because you have to give opinions about everyone. And so one time Chris Collinsworth was, walking on the street and someone said, hey, Chris, I like big fan of yours, but why do you always hate the Lions? And he just goes, never liked them, and just walked away. And I think that's just the best way to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll move on here. Let's see here. Are you gonna buy some of the Eagles hype right now? Niners at Eagles?
I could not believe this line at 3.5. And I will say, yeah, I'll buy some hype. Like I will purchase a couple of hypes here because I liked what I saw from Jalen Hurts. And I think that it is the kind of thing where it's really difficult to stop a rushing quarterback who's willing to run that can also throw the ball pretty well. Like that's a really difficult thing to stop, and that can kind of keep you in any game. We see it with Lamar Jackson. We saw it back in the day with Colin Kaepernick. Even like a young Russell Wilson a little bit. I can kind of see those kind of vibes with Hurts. Again, I'm talking about like year 1 and 2 Russell Wilson, not current day Russell Wilson. But I just think the 49ers are too good. Like I just think that I think that the 49ers will score more points. I think they have too much talent on defense. I'm liking what I see from the Eagles. I'm liking what I see from Jalen Hurts specifically. And I do think that, Devonta Smith changes this offense when they have a guy who can actually win against man coverage. They didn't have that last year, but I just think the Niners are too good.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it had to do with his receivers, and I think a lot of it also had to do with playing the Falcons. But it just seemed like he was making quicker decisions. It just seemed like he knew exactly what he wanted to do. He read the defense a lot faster, it seemed like, and the ball was out of his hand a lot faster. So I'll give Jalen Hurts a lot of credit for that. We'll see if he can continue it. I think people are freaking out a little too much on the 49ers deciding to take a vacation for the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
They were really good in week 1. This was a really impressive team. I mean, if they didn't take a nap while the Lions were still playing football, I think they were the most impressive team of week 1, honestly. So this was a really impressive performance for them. I think they can continue it in week 2.
Yeah, I think so as well. I like this comment by Jeremiah in the chat. List of things Jackson hates: Chiefs, pass rush, defense, big wide receivers, running the ball, and Luke Brown. Yep, I think that pretty much covers it. That's nailed it.
Slow cornerbacks too.
Yeah, exactly. Slow corners. That's what you need to get in there. Yeah, no. I like I like Luke Brown. Other than that, you pretty much nailed it. Back to the Niners. Again, I think it should be interesting. Like, how did the Niners play the Eagles? And kind of one of these things that we talk about with Lamar is, although it goes against conventional wisdom, sometimes you do want to play man against these rushing quarterbacks. Don't be afraid to do it, because a lot of times they can't really have success throwing the ball. And sure, they'll break off a big run or two. You kind of just eat that and accept the fact that you're really basically stopping the passing game going. But on the flip side is, can Jalen Hurts, connect with Devonta Smith enough times?
Yeah, I think that'll be the big question. But yeah, I mean, I do think the 49ers are the better team and probably win this one. But I do think there's a clear favorite here on out. So it'll be interesting to see if the Eagles can keep this going. Can that pass rush get after Garoppolo is the question.
Yeah, should be fun. You want to move on to the next game now?
I guess one more thing. Is Brandon Ayuk? I mean, hopefully he plays a little bit more. That was a little weird. I guess that his injury time in practice, had Shanahan bench him pretty much. But yeah, I mean, if this team just adds last season's Ayuk to it, based on what I saw in week 1, they might jump into the NFC favorites, honestly.
Yeah, really underrated receiving core with the Niners. I mean, especially when you add on George Kittle to the mix. Like, Deebo Samuel had the second most yards week 1, only behind, Tyreek Hill. So, like, they can play. Like, people always talk about the running scheme. They can play on the outside as well.
Wasn't he 1 yard behind Tyreek Hill?
Was it? I thought it was like, maybe you might be right. I don't know.
So, all right, now we can move on.
All right, let's go to. All right, I'll give you your team. Make you pick your team here. Patriots at Jets. Can Zach Wilson find a way to win this, or will Bill Belichick continue with his list of rookie quarterback? I don't even know where I'm going with this. List of rookie quarterbacks that he's just humiliated over the course of his career.
No, Zach Wilson cannot win this one. Listen, Mekhi Becton's out, and that's a problem. I mean, that's might be the Jets' best player right now on offense. and he's not playing basically for the season, I think is what I saw. So yeah, I mean, I think the Patriots, our front seven's awesome. Yes, I'm on the team. So yeah, our front seven's awesome. We're gonna get after Zach Wilson. Maybe Corey Davis makes a couple plays, but I'm not overly, the Jets just don't have there's nobody like a Jalen Waddle even with like speed that I'm like, oh man, I'm worried about this guy getting some space. There's just nobody really like that on this team. So yeah, I mean, I just think the offensive line being out, the secondary is still better than the Jets wide receivers, even though I think the secondary is hurt right now, and I'd like to see Gilmore out there. And yeah, I mean, I just think we're going to be able to do that and move the ball. So I think it's a pretty easy Patriots victory.
Easy Patriots victory. What do you say? How many points?
I mean, honestly, I could see this as like a 20-7 kind of game.
20-7. Okay, that's not that crazy.
Yeah, I just don't know how the Jets are going to be able to, I mean, I think Wilson's going to take a few shots, and maybe if they hit a couple of those, then all of a sudden the Jets move the ball a little bit. I just don't see how they move the ball consistently, though.
I'll say this. How about this? Here's my bold prediction of the week. NFL Red Zone has their top 5 plays, usually with in the fourth quarter of the late games. I think Zach Wilson has one of those. That's what I'll say in this one. I think Patriots will play man. They're going to blitz. Wilson will have one of those, scrambles out, throws the ball 50 yards, gets a big play. That's my hot take.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, I could see the Jets getting basically one score because he hits a couple shots. And maybe that's the one shot is he hits that. But the rest of the game, the Pats just kind of, that defense just kind of goes boa constrictor on them, and they can't do anything consistently because you just need consistent yards. And I don't think the Jets are going to be able to get consistent yards. I think what I saw from the Patriots, what I saw from Mac Jones and being able to hit, the short and intermediate passing game. Plus, I think not playing Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, they're going to take a couple more shots. I really liked what I saw out of Nelson Aguilar in week 1, too. I think that they're going to, be a little, take them a few more chances on offense and really kind of test this, rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I really think the way that the Jets win this game is they just get a bunch of splash plays, which again, it's really it's so frustrating that we have one of the most unique talents we've ever seen, or as a prospect entering the NFL, and it's just like, well, let's see if he can drag his entire team to victory right off the bat. So I did my system I did when I sort of said this is how good I think teams will be, and I have kind of this war formula. Well, for week 1, I made a video where I entered that in for every team on how they played week 1 with their Pro Football Focus grade. Zach Wilson was the only person on the Jets who gave them wins. If they can play that way for 17 games, Zach Wilson gave him 1 win. No one else on the team anything.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was pretty good. I mean, a lot of it, you have to keep a lot of this stuff in perspective. When we say Mac Jones was great in week 1, it was great for his first start in the NFL, not that he's Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden. When we say Zach Wilson was good, I thought he learned from his mistakes and got better in his first start. And that was, they both went up against pretty good defenses, I thought, in week 1 too. So I think he's a solid player. But yeah, I mean, the problem with Wilson is that it's not his fault. It's that, there's guys around him that aren't good enough to win football games right now, and I think that's hurting them.
So I proposed the theory on the Sunday night podcast, technically Monday morning podcast, talking about I think the Patriots are the new Buccaneers, and they've reversed ever since Brady got there. There is nothing more Tampa Bay Buccaneers of years past than making a rookie quarterback look elite. Kyle, if Zach Wilson looks amazing in this one, are you going to start to sweat a little bit that you might actually be the new Buccaneers?
If we make Zach Wilson look good, I mean, yeah, I guess maybe I'll start thinking about it a little bit, but I still believe in my team. I'm never dying on the Patriots. We're coming back, baby. Okay. We're going to show the AFC East who's boss soon enough.
Right. If you do get blown out by Case Keenum, though, then you need to start worrying. Got to throw that one out there. Yeah. Have you seen his numbers against the Buccaneers?
Is he that good?
His passer rating is like 130 against us in 4 starts. He just goes off against us. It's the worst. I hate him so much. Anyways, ready to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. I'll give you this game because the next 4 are basically the poo-poo platter games. Vikings at Cardinals. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have picked this one earlier, to be honest. I think I like the Cardinals in this one. They played really well week one. I did hear a good point that I sort of didn't think about, which is, last year, the Cardinals looked really good week one as well. They had a great win over the 49ers, kind of fell off, ended up finishing 8-8. And when I was watching the Vikings, I was studying Joe Burrow film today. And so it's watching the Vikings play defense. I thought they did a lot better once they started playing man down the stretch. They added Brashad Breeland from the Kansas City Chiefs, who's usually a man corner. They had him play zone, and he did get burned on that big touchdown to Jamar Chase. I think that maybe they'll try to shift that up a little bit. But then the flip side is, well, then Kyler can run on you. So it's tough. The Cardinals offense does look really good right now. I think the more interesting thing to me is how well does this Cardinals new and improved defense, is it a fluke or is it for real? We'll kind of see against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting test for week 2. I don't think it's going to be as dominant as a game as Tennessee, even though I think Tennessee is better than Minnesota. I think they just kind of jumped Tennessee early in that one. But, some of the things the Cardinals did well, like especially defensively, it was like, oh, Chandler Jones dominated. Oh, J.J. Watt was really good against the run. While I'm not expecting 5 sacks a game out of Chandler Jones, it's not like it was surprising that those two players were really good. And the young linebackers and David Collins and Isaiah Simmons, I thought did better too in week 1. So I thought that, there's good things out of the Cardinals that I really like. They're fast, especially defensively, and I think they're an interesting team. So yeah, I think they beat the Vikings. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think the Vikings do bounce back a little bit and look a little more comfortable. But at the same time, this is not the kind of defensive line you want to go against.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And part of me also does want to say, okay, yeah, the Cardinals aren't going to get the luxury of like the Titans saying, okay, let's see if Julio Jones can run a double move 25 yards down the field when our offensive line is playing horrible. It's like, okay, yeah, that's probably not going to work out. Granted, the Vikings might still do the same thing though. Like that's something I could see the Vikings doing. So you might still, it's not like we're going from elite offensive play calling to elite offensive play calling here.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I just think the Cardinals definitely should control this game. And I am curious if they can continue the success of, wide receivers 2, 3, and 4 having the same sort of success against Minnesota.
Yep. Another thing is, Vikings will be desperate. It'll be interesting to see how the Vikings run the ball again against this sort of, Cardinals run defense has kind of plagued them over the years. They did some work to improve that. It worked out really well week 1. Is it legit or was that just sort of a weird game?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting question. I'm just interested in both of these teams, especially after their performances in week 1. Minnesota, I thought could be a bounce back candidate, but I think they do some things pretty bad. And then Arizona too is another team that that was impressive in week 1. How does that continue?
Yeah, I think so as well. Should be interesting. You want also a Patrick Peterson revenge game here going up against his former team.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was with the Vikings almost. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, sure. All right, want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, go for it.
How about the Denver Broncos taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Who would have thought the Broncos would be -6 week 2? Good for them. Granted, it's the Jaguars, so that's kind of why. But Kyle, who's winning this one?
I almost locked this game too. I almost locked it up. The Broncos are going to win this one. They ran the ball well. Teddy Bridgewater, I thought, was good, and he's going against an even worse defense. He should be able to attack the Jaguars secondary. Even without Judy is definitely out, right?
I'm not sure.
But even without him, I think that wide receiving core is good enough to still make some plays too. And then Urban Meyer hates James Robinson for some reason. I'm not really sure why. So all that leads me to believe that the Broncos win this one pretty easily. I think that they win this one by 2 scores. So Broncos over Jaguars.
Yeah. You know how I talked about how I did sort of my, week 1, how did everyone fit playing week 1? Well, this formula also goes to show the small sample size has the Broncos as the best team in football with 16.77 wins. So you're 17-0 Denver Broncos here. I, for one, welcome our Denver overlords. A big part of it is they had their running back room as tier 1. They had Teddy Bridgewater as tier 1 just because of how he played. So that's gonna be a bunch of wins losing right there. But Teddy did look good week 1. I mean, I think, he is I've kind of been saying this. He's a top 32 quarterback, and he looked like a top 20 quarterback week one. Like, he's not elite, but he can win you some games, and for a cheap contract, you'll take that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that he's a serviceable enough quarterback, and based on what we saw from Tyrod Taylor last week, it's not like you need a top 20 quarterback to attack this Jaguars secondary. I think there's a few college quarterbacks who could probably attack this Jaguars secondary. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that's a clear advantage for the Broncos, even if they don't have a superstar quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater is certainly good enough. And my guy Tim Patrick is going to go nuts this week. I'm calling it now.
Well, and again, this is the perfect situation for Teddy. Good cast around him and playing a really bad defense. I guess that's the perfect situation for everyone, but it's a really good situation for Bridgewater where he can just sort of be the game manager type that he always gets. I think Teddy Bridgewater, he's like insane against the spread. Like against the spread, I think he wins like 3/4 of the time. Like whether it's covering, he does very well against the spread. Often underrated, Teddy Bridgewater.
Huh. Well, I'm sure the 72 Dolphins are sweating now. 17-0 Broncos. Here we go.
Yes.
You want to move on from this one?
Sure. We'll move on from the best team in football, and we'll talk. So you have to give me a game here.
Do I have to?
You have to, yes.
I'll let you pick your next game if you want, honestly.
The closest spread is 11.5 right here, so it's not a lot of great games here.
I guess just because, once again, the NFC South games can get weird. I'll go Falcons at Bucks. Just so everybody knows, we have Texans at Browns, Falcons at Bucks, and Lions at Packers left. Go ahead and Brady's going to have like 500 yards in this game, right?
Yeah. He's gonna. I mean, this should be, again, any given Sunday. You're right. It is a divisional matchup. Weird stuff can happen. And I mean, listen. Last year, the Falcons actually played Tampa Bay tough in both games. The first one they were up 17-0. So I think the one thing you might see is that Matt Ryan has to hate Tom Brady like more than anyone has hated anyone. I think outside of like committing an actual crime against them. I think that just the amount of times that what Tom Brady has done to poor Matt Ryan, like that alone, they're gonna try. I guess it's week 2, and I'm already like, I think they'll actually care about this one because the Falcons, the week 1 was so rough.
I wouldn't care about it if I was on the Falcons right now.
Right. Once
again, Falcons, I'm offering my services as backup fullback. I won't care though. Just letting you know now. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be an easy win. I mean, I know the NFC South's weird, but yeah, I don't see a scenario where the Falcons bounce back. Especially against this team. It's a terrible matchup for them. Brady's going to be able to throw the ball around the yard. The Falcons are a bad football team. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, is the way that they win maybe that Todd Bowles still blitzes a lot, even though he probably doesn't have to against this bad offensive line Atlanta has, and maybe, Calvin Ridley can take care of some one-on-one matchups that can put up some points. And then on defense, maybe Brady gets sick and maybe Blaine Gabbert also gets sick. Maybe like the quarterback room has COVID, like a Denver Broncos situation from last year. Is that how they win?
Yeah, probably. Maybe Calvin Ridley just goes nuts too. Sean Murphy Bunting is out, so they're down one cornerback. So maybe they're able to throw it on the secondary, but this offensive line has to also make sure that they can get the ball downfield. So that's another thing.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen 3 double-digit spreads in week 2. Like, that's just crazy to me that already we're feeling so good about this. I'm going to give you one now. We're going to move on because I think not too much to talk about there. I'll give you Lions-Packers. I mean, the reason I'm giving you this one is simply just because the Packers didn't look great week 1. I do feel like the Lions have played the Packers tough at times in the past few years. This isn't a very good Lions team, but I'll give you this one again. Divisional matchup. Obviously, I think I know where this is going. You're riding the Jared Goff train.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the Packers with that Jared Goff train. I thought, Goff looked good in the fourth quarter, but yeah, I mean, this is definitely, bounce back week for the Packers. I think they look better in this one. Nobody's panicking in there. They win this one pretty easily, but, the Lions do have, good tight end, TJ Hawkinson. They have a pretty decent running back duo in Swift and Williams. And yeah, so I guess they have that going for them. But overall, I mean, it's hard to imagine a scenario where they win this game, especially with their secondary.
Yeah, I mean, really, what it comes down to is just like I don't know how the Lions even come close to stopping the Packers. I just don't know
Yeah.
like who's going to cover who in this scenario. Like I think that on offense, I actually kind of like this matchup a little bit. Like I think I'd probably bet on the Lions with an 11.5 point spread. I think they could easily cover that, or not easily, but I wouldn't. I would probably say that's more likely. But the concern I have is really just like this just seems like an Aaron Rodgers 5 touchdown day.
Yeah, especially after last week. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Packers are over. They looked horrible. This is not the same team." This is definitely when they come back and just look awesome in week 2. So, yeah, I mean, I hate going against my guy Dan Campbell, but at the same time, there's just no way they win this game.
Yeah, it seemed on a scale of 1 to 10, where is the panic meter at if the Packers lose this one?
If they lose this game,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be like a 7 or an 8 at that point,
Is
right?
it? Do you just trade Aaron Rodgers, just blow it up, rebuild around Jordan Love?
I mean, they won't do that, but I mean, there's definitely some questions being asked in Green Bay if they manage to lose this game.
Yeah, I'm a fan of hey, we started off 0-4, let's just blow it up.
Yeah, nobody does that in the NFL, though, do they?
Yeah, no, there was the unique Ngakoue trade last year with the Vikings, and then they actually got back into the playoff run. So now no one's ever going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. No tanking in the NFL allowed.
Unless you're the Jaguars.
Yeah,
or the
that's
Bengals.
true. Question: did you consider locking Browns 12.5 over Texans?
I did. Yep, I considered locking all of these final 3. I almost went with the Buccaneers. I feel good about Bengals Bears. I kind of had a few. I'm like, okay, this could be a lock. This could be a lock. Once I saw Bengals Bears, I was like, that's it. But yeah, I mean, I like the Browns 12.5 points over an undefeated team. Kyle, Texans undefeated, still 12.5 point underdogs,
and winning the AFC South by a whole game.
Yeah.
Clearly underrated. There are some bets on this Texans team, though, and for real. But yeah, I mean, there's just not the talent to keep up with this team.
Yeah, well, it does kind of, I would say it does kind of go to show in the NFL how important it is to have actual depth and guys who can play and, players who have played for a bit. But I still stand by, this is a Texans team that is intentionally fielding Vernon Hargreaves. This is not a good football team. I think the Cleveland Browns offense is going to score. I'll say they score 50. I think Browns put up 50 against the Texans here. If they start running the clock out, they're going to score even more. I don't know how the Texans stop Cleveland whatsoever. And I think that Tyrod Taylor is going to have a much tougher day at the office than he had against Jacksonville. Really for the Texans, I think, they won a game. They're happy.
Yeah, they'll go 1-16 now and
pull the Jaguars.
Exactly. I mean, look, this is probably like a 38-0 game, honestly. I don't see a scenario where the Texans keep this within 3 scores.
Yeah, I think that if you're a Texans fan, what's the hope in this one? Let's say you're a Cleveland-based Texans fan. You're going to the game. What are you hoping for?
Brandon Cooks makes a couple nice plays. It's
a loss, maybe?
Yeah, it's not a 5-touchdown loss, I guess.
Yeah, Humongous 83 says he's predicting final score of Browns 38, Texans 1. Yeah, what about that? Maybe that's the hope, is that we see the fabled 1-point safety that we've all been wanting to see.
That'll never happen.
One of these days, Kyle, never give up hope.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go, negative 90 yards on an extra point attempt? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I guess on the extra point attempt, or if you go for 2, it'd be a negative 98 yards. It'd be tough.
It'd be tough. That's a little more than tough.
Well, here's the way it works, okay? Interception on go for 2-point attempt, returned all the way, fumbled at the 1-yard line, out of bounds, 1-point safety. Or no, then recovered. Then that player steps back into the end zone, gets tackled, 1-point safety. Not that hard.
Oh, yeah, that's not hard. Yeah, it'll be a that'd be crazy if it ever happens, but I don't see it happening. Obviously,
hot take.
Yeah,
I think it'll happen this game. I think that's what'll happen.
Okay, I'll bet you. You get 1-point safety. I get no 1-point safety.
If this worked out, I'm just retiring. Every time anyone makes fun of any of my takes, I'm going to say I called the 1-point safety in the Texans-Browns game. I am a god.
You're all set. The Browns are going to win this game by a lot, though. That's the point we were getting at.
Yeah, probably. And I think, again, they're angry. They nearly won. They're going to take it out on the poor Houston players. But yeah, it should be fun to see exactly how that goes. All right. So, Kyle, that's our show. Hopefully, we get more than 7 of these right this time.
I think we got a good chance, especially with all the massive underdogs in this one. As long as it's not the Jets beating the Patriots, I feel good, though.
Yeah. Or the Falcons beat the Buccaneers. I think it should be good. I think which game are you most excited for? I'm thinking, for me, it's probably Raiders Steelers.
That'll be an interesting game. I'm actually interested, even though I have to watch the Bears. I'm interested to see the Bengals against a better defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Cowboys Chargers, those first 3 games we picked, I think all 3 of those games are going to be entertaining in different ways. I think the Cowboys Chargers can be a shootout. I also think the Seahawks Titans can be a shootout. I think all those games are going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think so as well. So, all right, that's your show again. Kyle, let them know where they can find us before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's at Jackson Kruger. I am at by Kyle Gronin. Or make sure to follow the account page. That's at On the Sideline JK on Twitter. At On the Sideline JK on Twitter for any show updates. We'll post them on there. We'll give you a reminder about the show either Sunday at midnight or Wednesday at 9:00. We'll give you a little heads up on Twitter. So make sure to follow us there.
Yes, and of course, as always, midnight Eastern, after the Sunday night game, we will be live recapping all of the games, talking about hopefully all of our predictions being correct. And again, Kyle, any final thoughts before we head out?
Looking forward to week 2, an excellent week 1. Should be good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So again, thanks to everyone for watching live or after the fact or listening. Again, anywhere you get your podcast, there is the audio only feed. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.